Buddha teaches to govern the country and resoup the people. Throughout his life of preaching the Dharma, the Buddha not only preached the teachings on the path to enlightenment and personal liberation, but also left profound advice on how to govern the country and ensure happiness for all people. Although he did not directly participate in politics, with his infinite compassion and wisdom, the Buddha guided kings and leaders on how to use the Dharma to govern the country and bring peace to the people. He emphasized that only when leaders know how to combine the rule of law and the rule of virtue can the country achieve long-term prosperity and stability. Virtuous governance. Virtuous governance is a governing doctrine based on morality, in which social management is not only about imposing power, but also about educating people in morality. According to this doctrine, making people aware of their shortcomings and thereby correcting themselves to become more moral is the foundation for social stability and order. Virtuous governance values the qualities and character of the ruler more than rigid laws, believing that if the leader knows how to love the people and set a good example, the country will naturally become peaceful and prosperous. Confucius said, "If the ruler only relies on laws and punishments to govern the people will be afraid and obey, but will not feel ashamed. On the contrary, if the ruler uses virtue to guide and etiquette to govern the people, not only will they feel ashamed, but they will also transform them to become better people." Rule of law. Rule of law is a governing doctrine based on the principle that everyone in society must obey the law. Advocates of the rule of law generally believe that human nature is self-interested, and therefore moral education is not very effective in maintaining social order. They believe that the only way to rule effectively is to apply strict laws, combined with a fair system of rewards and punishments. According to this view, even if the ruler is not virtuous, the state can still maintain stability if the law is properly enforced. Western thinkers, such as Democritus, believe that people must fight to protect the law as if they were protecting their own shelter. They argue that society cannot exist without laws, and the state must respect and obey the law. Socrates emphasized that respect for the law is respect for reason, justice, and common wisdom, and without laws, power will go astray. Aristotle, one of the greatest thinkers of antiquity, also asserted that law is the foundation that rules over all, and developed the theory of rational organization of state power based on law. The issue of governing the country according to Buddhist scriptures. For a country to achieve peace and prosperity, those in power need to be just and upright. The Buddha, with his infinite wisdom and compassion, deeply understood this. Whenever discussing with kings about governing the country, the Buddha always advised them to cultivate their own morality. In Jataka number 385, the Bodhisattva gave advice to help kings rule the country prosperously by abandoning all evil paths, not violating the 10 kings' dharma, 10 virtues of a king, and acting righteously. Generosity, kindness, virtue, justice, kindness, gentleness, mildness, patience, repentance, compassion, these are the 10 precepts. The Buddha emphasized that if a leader has poor moral qualities, he will not only destroy himself, but also push the country into ruin. Therefore, a leader must carefully consider all his actions, words, and thoughts. Listen to the opinions of the people to promptly prevent any mistakes in governing the country. The Buddha made an analogy. When a herd of cows wades through a river, the leader goes in the right direction. The whole herd is on the right track because he guides the right path. However, the Buddha also reminded that one cannot rely solely on morality to govern the country, but must combine moral governance and legal governance. If one only focuses on moral governance, bad people can take advantage of the king's kindness to cause chaos. On the contrary, if one emphasizes the legal governance but lacks morality, even if the country is stable, the policy can still become harsh and brutal. In the Golden Light Sutra, when Kien Lao Diatan asked the Buddha about how to govern the country, ensuring prosperity and stability in the context of many people committing evil deeds, he taught, "If the people commit evil deeds, the king does not prohibit them. That is against the Dharma, not the right way to rule. The king should not let any personal interests or desires interfere. Tax collection, judgment, etc. should all be in accordance with the law. Although politics is built on the spirit of benevolence, the king must severely punish those who deliberately break the law. If in the country we see someone committing an illegal act, we must punish them according to the law and not let them go unpunished. Living beings have many illnesses, so the Buddha used many methods to transform them. Sometimes he advised to apply virtue, and sometimes he advised to use law, depending on the specific circumstances and situations. However, through the scriptures, we see that virtue is often emphasized more. The Buddha once taught, Bhikkhus, the Tathagata, in the past as a human being, was the leader of the Sangha in good deeds. He was the pioneer of the Sangha in good deeds of body, speech, and mind, in distributing alms, in upholding the precepts, attending the uposatha ceremonies, being filial to parents, paying respect to monks, respecting elders in the family, and in other special good deeds. If the leader is talented and virtuous, and at the same time puts forth positive and correct policies and guidelines, then society will enjoy a peaceful and happy life thanks to that. The country under their leadership will become increasingly prosperous and peaceful. Virtuous governance is not only an effective way of management, but also a path to sustainable development for an entire country. Typical representatives of governance according to the Buddhist path, King Pasenadi Batu Nak of Kosala. King Pasenadi, the ruler of the Kosala kingdom, applied moral governance and legal governance to govern the country, maintained good diplomatic relations with neighboring countries, and ensured fairness and morality in governance. He deeply understood that the combination of morality and law is an important foundation to maintain the stability and prosperity of the country. King Asoka, a duke. Emperor Ashoka of India was a great king who was imbued with and practiced the Dharma in governing the country. He was known for his non-violent policies, benevolence, and concern for the welfare of the people. Ashoka promoted moral values such as truthfulness, compassion, and non-violence, and encouraged living according to the Dharma in society. King Kanishka, Kanisaka, King Kanishka of the Kushan Empire was a great patron of Mahayana Buddhism. He built a strong empire, developed culture and arts, and made great contributions to the propagation of Buddhism, the protection and compilation of Mahayana scriptures. Kings of the Lai Tran dynasty. In Vietnamese history, the kings of the Lai Tran dynasty skillfully combined the rule of law and the rule of virtue, issued correct policies, protected the country from foreign invasion, and built a prosperous society. They were both talented leaders and Buddhists imbued with morality, contributing to making the Lai Tran era the most brilliant period in Vietnamese history. Governing a country with wisdom and peace, according to the Buddhist perspective, does not only rely on law and morality, but also needs to address the root causes of social evils. The Buddha pointed out that poverty and inequality are the main causes of social unrest and moral degradation. Therefore, to restore social order, it is necessary to improve moral standards and ensure better living conditions for the people. The Buddha advised leaders to provide necessary support to farmers, merchants, and civil servants so that they can focus on their work, thereby maintaining national order. By ensuring social justice and meeting the basic needs of everyone, a country will become stable and happy. We sincerely thank our readers for taking the time to read and reflect on this meaningful story. Through the teachings of the Buddha, we can clearly see the importance of applying wisdom and compassion in governing the country, caring for the lives of everyone, and building a fair and stable society. Hopefully, these values will continue to be spread and applied in daily life. I wish you peace, happiness, and success in all areas. See you again in the next stories, where we will continue to explore profound lessons from the teachings of the Buddha and other ethical philosophies.